Anthony Geisler, CEO of Sequel Brands. My mom had a company called California Dustbusters, which was her cleaning business. So I remember being 7, 8 years old, sitting at the table helping my mom make flyers. We went to a place over here where the rich people live, put all the different flyers on the mailboxes, and then we'd get people to call. My dad was very entrepreneurial, and he would take side jobs in building store shelves in grocery stores. And so we would drive 3-4 hours to Las Vegas, do a 9-10 hour build, and we would drive back home. My parents worked very hard, although they weren't glamorous, they were entrepreneurial. They were very gritty, very scrappy people trying to figure out, how do we pay our bills? How do we keep the lights on? I remember being very young thinking I want to be a good dad and show up like my parents always showed up, but then I also want to have financial freedom. I did have that scrappy piece from my parents. I still have that today. I love to do businesses and I love to build companies. That's why Sequel. About 20 plus years ago, I joined a gym called LA Boxing, and I went in like anybody else goes in, was looking to get in better shape and do something that I enjoyed. Started going 1 day a week and then 5 days a week and then 7 days a week, and decided that I wanted to buy the place. And so I ended up buying LA Boxing and went to open a second location in Aliso Viejo. I sold about 200 locations. The UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, came along and said, hey, we love your model. Could you change the name from LA Boxing to UFC Gym and run it for us? And so we did that. I ended up selling majority stake of LA Boxing to the Fertittas and Dana White at the UFC. Ran UFC Gym for a couple of years and then exited that. And when I met a woman named Allison Beardsley, who was the founder of Club Pilates, and she had about 18 locations, 5 of them corporate, the rest were franchise, and they were friends and family of hers, instructors, things like that. And she had very loose franchise agreements. When I met her, she decided she hated the world of franchising. She hated business. So I stepped in. I paid her $2 million with a very lofty goal of taking that business, running it 50 times and selling it for $100 million in 24 months, which I did to the date as the new owner of Club Pilates. And then I made TPG, which is a $100 billion fund. TPG then said to me, hey, look, if you've done this multiple times, what if we keep Club Pilates and we partner with you and we go build a second brand, a third brand, a fourth brand, which became the beginnings of Exponential that ended up having 10 different brands. And so we drove that business. It's about a $3 billion valuation by March of 20. Ran that business for years, exited about a year ago, and created what we call today the Sequel. There was a very small group of what we all consider friends and even family members that went and grew a business to $3 billion in kind of record time. We all wanted to be back together again, and so we went down the street and created Sequel. Coming out of our last journey, we really said, well, let's look at the modalities first. We have 2 modalities that are pretty tried and true in the stretch and recovery Pilates piece. And then we have 2 kind of emerging modalities in red light and sauna, as well as EMS suit. That's how we've sort of broken up the portfolio for right now. Each have their own brand CEOs, membership salespeople, educators, and then everything that is not necessarily forward-facing or franchisee-facing are shared services across the network. Shared services is very interesting because there are things, like I've said, that are finance, legal, accounting, HR, that there's also shared best practices. And so not only do we have marketing in each individual brand, but then we also have a vision overall for the portfolio that allows us to aggregate dollars, allows us to aggregate knowledge into one base to make sure that we're giving the mass amount of support that we can. The great thing about our leadership team, whether it's Sarah, who was the president of Exponential, running 3,000 stores in 20 countries, Ryan Junk, who was at 24-hour fitness, ran UFC Gym after I did, Cycle Bar, Crunch Fitness, and a bunch of other brands, very well versed in the fitness side of the business. He was the chief operating officer at our last business. We have Verdine, who took Stretch Lab from 3 locations to 700 locations, increased AUVs by 100+%. We have Lindsay Junk, she was at 24-hour fitness as well, and at True Fusion and YogaWorks, grew Yoga 6 from nothing to something absolutely amazing in the yoga space. You get the team that knows what they're doing, that has the capital, but you also have the white space to be able to pick a territory that you want and develop your business with a team that's going to give you the utmost support. In the movie, Rocky just let the other people wear themselves out on his face, and then he was still standing. He could get hit, keep getting hit, and keep moving forward. That's a Rocky quote that says that's exactly how winning is done.